Orania. What is really happening in Orania? Find it out. I say Authentic Plus Studio. Make sure to like, subscribe. We are not share. I'm a for so NYB. Orania, a community that can be located in the northern part of South Africa, is believed to be a racist model. But then, according to the people living in that community, almost say it is a way of preserving their culture.
People out there believe that Orania is a racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
No.
So what is it then?
It's a culture town. It's a culture town. It's an Afrikaner town. The narrative is out there that if you preserve your culture, you're racist, and that's not true.
But I don't.
Thanks to Wode for bringing out such a history and such a revelation, because Niamana was South Africa and Kasagi. Let's dive into the story now. Into Wode as part of the blogging activities Okopium was South Africa. There is a community over here. Only white pe anything blacker.
So I made it to Orania. I don't know how many of you have heard about this town. It's a town within South Africa, around the northern Cape of South Africa. And this is the town that, online it's very controversial, because to the people online it's a whites only town. But after coming in here, it's rather an Afrikaner only town.
No black is allowed. You can actually visit. But then, you want to settle. Why is this happening? And I'm saying, look, I know outsiders, say, we are racist. But then this is a way of preserving our culture too. But then I was also thinking, African and can an African man bet me free ni krom ako Europe ako kase okay makoto asasi wo Europe asentino aha say no only black is allowed, no white is allowed over here. Can we have such a history and as BBC? Because if this is really happening in South Africa, how can a white man and as white people live in the land of South Africans and say no black is allowed? No black is allowed to settle in that particular community. How is this possible? I'm in
love with Orania.
Yes.
Can I stay in here?
You're not Afrikaner.
Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch settlers who arrived at the Cape of Good Hope on a boat in the year 1652. Would you say that Orania is a controversial town in South Africa?
Orania is definitely. I don't have to doubt it. I know that Orania is controversial.
Orania.
What is happening? Can somebody answer?
Section 235 of the South African Constitution acknowledges the right of cultural groups to self-determination. But what about the Afrikaner enclave of Orania, which also uses race to determine who can be allowed to live in that community?
The main reason why it's controversial is misperception. I think so, it's my personal opinion. Misperception about Orania. The people who have the most to say about Orania have never visited.
Would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
It's our history.
But I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process. You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu, Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question. This is a question for Oranians.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
I don't even know how to feel right now. Should I tell you guys that I'm super scared? Because I'm about to do one of the craziest videos that I've never dreamt of. This particular video will definitely go down as one of my most sensitive vlogs ever. I'm currently in Cape Town, driving to a town that so many South Africans don't want to hear about. If I talk about South Africans, I'm talking about black South Africans, indigenous South Africans, people that were here before the settlers came in here. I believe that most of you have heard of the town. In my whole lifetime, I never thought I would come across a town within the land of black people where blacks are not allowed to live in there. People out there believe that Orania is a racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
No.
So what is it then?
It's a culture town. It's a culture town. It's an Afrikaner town. The narrative is out there that if you preserve your culture, you're racist, and that's not true.
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe, and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in. In this town, it's whites only. If I have to decode the whites only, I'm talking about Africans only. So if you're a black man like me, you cannot stay there.
We say Orania is a community for Afrikaners. It's not an issue just white in, black out. It's a question of culture.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
Well, that is whole nother debate.
If that is the case, then let's bring the other debate.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
White South Africans make up about 8% of the population, but they hold about 3/4 of privately owned land in the country. In contrast, only 4% of privately held land is owned by black South Africans, who make up nearly 80% of the country's 60 million residents.
I'm sure that you guys know that white people were not originally from South Africa. Like, they migrated in the late 17th century from Netherlands, France, England, Germany, in short, from Europe. I mean, they were immigrants in South Africa, but they forcefully colonized the people. Actually, no. They enslaved the owners of the land, the black South Africans. This is something that Donald Trump doesn't know, by the way, so you're welcome.
Of the decision.
Last month, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law a bill that allows the government to expropriate property for public purposes or in the public interest, in some cases without compensation.
Well, I don't think land expropriation without compensation is a good idea. I think the land is not the problem. The problem in South Africa is economic problem, and there's actually been research done on that, proving that people don't necessarily want land, they want a better economic future. Most people don't want to be farmers. To farm is a tough job, it's not a very rewarding job in terms of money and so on. I also think that the South African economy will collapse if there is land expropriation without compensation.
Interesting. And I want to include you in this conversation, so let me know what you think in the comment section, but don't forget to like this video because it's very important to me.
Welcome back. With the Maya component video now, with the Maya component is also because also say or something might really happen to him because over the years, South Africa is not actually, it's a hearsay, it's not actually safe for foreigners because of what has been happening. Yes, and in with the Maya component so and your corner. And only one of them. Now, just only want to train common will be say some more questions. And I say, look, so what if I tell you, say, Orania is a racist model? And I say, yes, you can say that, but then we also have our own understanding of doing this. So that one, it is good you have such an opinion, but then can we just stick to each other's opinion without even thinking negative about it? Because you have your opinion and I have mine. Oba Ghana has here, we have our culture. Our culture, and say, aha say no oba ne bema na betimi ada bema ne bema entimi nda oba ne oba entimi nda bema entimi kofa aponche oba nso sebe kafa ache ontimi koda honom e makraman sebe emfa no.